Om. Om. Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 20 to 24.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम् नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महविः ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतम् ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यम् ब्रह्म कर्म समाधिना.
We were examining the various terminologies, starting with what is action, and then the different facets associated with action. So first, we use the word karma, and we defined karma as obligatory action. Karma means action, but in the context, they are referring to those actions that are obligatory to you. So your obligatory actions are decided by yourself. Each one decides what their obligation is. So how do you work out your obligation? The way to work out your obligation is to fix a goal in life and you work backwards. To achieve that goal, what do I need to do? The series of actions that you need to do to achieve that goal are your obligatory duties. So a person has a goal to raise a family. The moment you fix that goal, instantly there's a series of actions. All those actions are obligatory. Whether it is to start a business, whether it is to join a university. So whatever goal you fix, the actions that lead you towards the goal, the first factor is this. So all actions that lead you towards the goal, number one. Number two is those actions should not be impulsive. It should be determined by your intellect. If it is impulsive or emotional, it is not an obligation. In other words, just because you like to do it, just because you love to do it, does not mean it is an obligation. Does your intellect sanction it or not? So many a times, what you love to do may not be the right thing to do. What you like to do may not be the right thing to do. So your intellect needs to distinguish between what you like and what is right for you. Usually, what is right for you is more difficult. So, generally speaking, if there is a choice, first consider the more difficult option. You understand? As a general principle, it's not a rule. Don't go by that rule. But the general principle is that what is good for you, what is right for you. A simple example would be diet. You understand? What we eat is a very simple example. All that you like is unhealthy. Everything I love, this food, definitely is unhealthy. You understand? So, what you have to pinch your nose and eat it. That is right for you. That is good for you. You understand? So, it's things which are difficult. You need to consider that. Don't just leave it because it's difficult. So it's not only these grosser things, but even subtler things. For example, to swallow your pride, to reduce your ego is difficult. To admit that you made a mistake is difficult. It's easy to cover up. It's easy to blame others. So if you get used to doing difficult actions in the grosser level, subtler level, you will then be able to consider it. So you practice it in the grosser areas. You need to exercise. You know that, gosh, I don't want to do it. I don't like to do it. I don't. You force yourself. It's difficult to you force yourself to do that. So when you start practicing it at the physical level, then it'll be easier at the mental level. Effort is effort, whether it's physical or mental, both are efforts. So that is what you got to consider. So obligatory duty number one, actions that lead you towards the goal. Number two, these actions are determined by your intellect, not by the mind. See, mind also goes based on attachments. So many people do their so-called obligations based on attachment. So obligation should not be based on attachments. So many families, they waste the money on their children. They waste the money within the family. The fellow doesn't deserve it, and they keep on giving money to that person. So you got to use the intellect to see, does that person deserve it or not? It could be your own son or your own daughter, doesn't matter. Does that person deserve it or not? See, that's what happened in the Mahabharata. The whole thing is because Dhritarashtra did not stop Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra knew Duryodhana was corrupt. His intentions was evil. Dhritarashtra, the father, knew it, but he didn't put a stop because he said, "It's after all my son." So just because he's a child, anything goes. You cover up all their faults to the detriment of your child and to the detriment of the society. So attachment is detrimental. Acting on attachment is detrimental. So even sometimes children take care of elderly parents. The same thing. Don't make them dependent. Let them be as independent as possible. Let them be self-sufficient as possible. Sometimes the children pamper the elderly parents. which is detrimental to that person. So that's not an obligation. That is attachment. So attachment is different from obligation. So when they say obligatory duty, it's not easy to do that. You understand? If you follow these two principles, you will understand it's not so simple. Many of the things you're doing is not obligation, but you're calling it as an obligation. So that is karma. And then we analyzed, I'm just summarizing what we studied last class. The two types we said, one is nitya karma, second is naimittika karma. Routine duties, special duties. Again, the original definition holds actions leading to the goal and determined by the intellect. Second is vikarma. Vikarma is translated as forbidden actions, which you ought not to do. So, obligatory is what you ought to do, forbidden is you ought not to do. Again, who decides what is forbidden is your own intellect. So, intellect at the worldly level is the gross intellect, and at the subtle level is the subtle intellect. Transcendental level is subtle intellect. So you use your gross or subtle intellect to determine what is forbidden. So a person who is an alcoholic, if it may be forbidden for him to go anywhere near the pub. But if you're not alcoholic, you have control over drinking, you can go to the pub. So you can't say anything is forbidden for everyone. It depends upon your nature, it depends upon your vasanas, it depends upon your strength of the intellect. So there is no list like that in the scriptures. If you ask, oh, in the Bhagavad Gita, does it say what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, what you should see, what you shouldn't see? Nothing like that. There's no list. But you need to use your intellect to decide what is forbidden for you and keep away from that. See, that's what we studied in the third chapter. When we ended the third chapter, if you remember, Arjuna asked the question to Krishna, Krishna, I know things are not right, and yet I do it. I know I shouldn't be doing it. Why am I still doing it? To which Krishna gave the answer, it's because of desire. The desire is more stronger than the intellect. So you do things which you know is not right for you. It's forbidden for you. You know it, and yet you do it. Why? Because of a powerful desire. Then third is akarma, opposite of karma, akarma, inaction. And all these verses, when they say inaction, here they're talking about the self, the supreme self. Just as a catalyst is inactive in the reaction, in a chemical reaction, the catalyst enables the reaction but remains unchanged. Similarly, the self, the Atman, enables actions but does not undergo any change. So, in that sense, it is inactive. It doesn't undergo any change. So, action should be known, forbidden action should be known, inaction should be known. Now you know it. What are these three? The nature of action is impenetrable. Gahana karmano gati. Verse 17, in case you're all wondering which verse it is. Verse 17. All blank faces. So last week we studied. You understand? Gone. Everything is gone. So what is the condition? 2 weeks back, previous chapter, which chapter? You'll ask, which chapter was previous chapter? Completely gone. So, see, what happens is the nature of the subject is like that. When you listen to it, it's so simple. You feel, is that it? Very simple, very straightforward. But you will not be able to retain it. It's not your fault. It's not that you're less intelligent. The nature of the subject is like that. You've got to go over it again and again and again. In the Bhajagovindam, Shankara said, Varam, Varam, again and again. Only then it will get set, it will get established. And then verse 18, again, he said, he who sees inaction in action and action in inaction. There, see that. He who sees akarma in karma and karma in akarma. See, you've got to understand what that phrase means, inaction in action, action in inaction. So I explained that. I'm explaining it again because it's a bit subtle. It's not so easy to grasp it. So that first phrase, inaction in action, what does it mean? It means that what is inaction? Inaction means self. Self in action. That's what they're saying. So you see the self in and through all actions. Behind all actions, you realize that there is a self. A remembrance of the self in and through all your actions. That's all it is. So you see that underlying self. See, the moment you entertain a thought, what should you understand? The self is behind it. The self is beneath it. Without that self, I can't think. What makes me think is a self. So that is what he's saying. That practice of remembering the self in and through all the actions. Number one. Second practice, he says, action in inaction. Action in the self. First is self in the action. Second is you see action in the self. See, self is in action. So, what does it mean seeing action in the self? The potential of action in the self. So, though self is an inactive principle, the capacity of actions, the potential of actions is infinite. Infinite amount of actions can come out of the self. Just like electricity can power thousands and thousands of gadgets, millions of gadgets it powers. So there's tremendous potential in electricity, but electricity is inactive. Petrol is inactive, but it powers millions and millions of vehicles. So there is that potential of action in that. Here, take a place like Dubai or Abu Dhabi. What is Dubai? What is Abu Dhabi? Desert. There was nothing there. It's just desert, it's just sand. But some of the people could see the potential that they could transform that place into a world-class city. And they worked on it. You understand? They saw the desert, but they saw the potential. So action in inaction. So he who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is wise among men. He's a yogi. He's a doer of all actions. He does everything. So that's where I explained that detachment plus dynamism is spiritual perfection. So yogi is not just a person who is detached, but he's also dynamic. He is active, energetic. And then the last verse where we stopped, 19, he said, he whose undertakings are free from desire and expectation, whose actions are burnt by the fire of knowledge, him the wise call a sage. See that? So he's defining who is a sage, whose undertakings are free from desire and expectation. There's no egoistic feeling. You're just doing your obligations. Actions are burnt by fire of knowledge, means vasanas are burnt. Is reduce the vasanas. Hmm. Is it clear so far? Any doubts? Okay, let's move on to verse 20.
त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम् नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गम् नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः.
Having renounced attachment to fruit of action, ever content, depending on nothing, he does not do anything though he is engaged in action. Look at the apparent contradiction. He does not do anything though he is engaged in action. So here the 20th verse gives a state of mind which is in harmony with external conditions. So whatever is happening externally, whatever changes happens externally, your mind is harmonious. The sign of perfection which is given in this verse is a person is ever content. Nitya tripta. Tripti means contentment. Nitya tripti. Ever contented, always contented. See, you may be contented for some time, but other times you may not be. Here, always, right through the day, right through the week, right through the year. So, where does this contentment come from? The contentment comes from the discovery of the self within. When a person discovers the self within, instantly the person feels the contentment. Opposite of that is, opposite of discovering the self is to live in the world of desires. When you live in the world of desires, you're longing for something all the time. Ever longing. This fellow is ever contented. What are people in the world? Ever longing. I wish I can get this. I wish I can get this. Oh, my life will be so much better if I get this. If this, hope this happens. Oh, that. So constantly the mind is longing for something. The fundamental problem is because you're focusing on what you don't have, not on what you have. All the time you focus on what you don't have. If you focus on what you have, you will be contented. In fact, if you're contented, it means you're focusing on what you have. It could be a mix, 50-50. 50% you're focusing on what you have, 50% you're focusing on what you don't have. So 50% you'll be contented. A person gets into university and says, I want to graduate from this university. And then once the person graduates from the university, is longing for a job. I wish I get a job, I wish I get a job. You get a job, what happens? It's not that you're kind of contented fully. Yes, temporarily there's a contentment. Immediately longing for something else. I wish I get a partner. Huh? So the mind keeps pitching up a desire. The moment you entertain a desire, there's no contentment. You lose your contentment. So ever contented means established in the self. As a result, he is not running after desires. Having renounced attachment to fruit of action. Fruit of action means a result. You're running after the result because you want to fulfill the desire. Famous words of the Persian writer Sadi. And what Sadi says, he says, I had no shoes and complained until I met a man who had no feet. I had no shoes and complained until I met a man who had no feet. See that? Famous words of Sadi. I had no shoes and complained until I met a man who had no feet. And what is your complaint? Your complaint is I haven't got a Nike. The latest model I haven't got. You understand? So always there will be something which you don't have. The wealthiest person in the world, the most powerful person in the world, even they don't have something. So nobody in life can have everything. So at any stage in life, any level of wealth, you will still be discontented. If you're focusing on what you don't have, you'll be discontented. Say Diana, throughout a latter part of the life, she was so unhappy, so miserable. A lady who had everything, supposedly. So it's not what you have that matters. Where is your focus? For example, any one of us, you may not be extremely wealthy, but whatever, wherever, whichever level you are, you'll say, no, but you know what, I don't. Same thing, anybody can say, oh, I don't have this. So it's not which level you're in, but where is the focus? So look at those who have less than you. Millions of people who have less than you. What are you complaining? So having renounced attachment to fruit of action, ever content, depending on nothing. It doesn't need anything because there is no desires. He's established in the self, is fulfilled. He does not do anything though he's engaged in action. See, what it means is when your action is not driven by desire, it is as if you're not doing anything. You don't need to do it. You don't want to do it, but you're doing it because of an obligation. That's all. But you're not interested in it. Krishna did the entire Mahabharata war. He orchestrated the entire Mahabharata war. But from his angle, he's not doing anything. From an external angle, he's doing everything. But from his standpoint, he's not doing anything. So that is the greatness of a person. Personally, they don't feel that they're doing anything. See, that's what makes that action effortless. What makes an action effortless is there's no desire behind it. So it flows smoothly. It flows effortlessly. When there's desire, when there's ego, it's difficult. It's like driving with the handbrake on. The handbrake is on and the car is going, it'll still move. Well, it won't go fast. It can't go fast. So similarly, when you're acting with desires and ego, it's like that. There's something pulling it back all the time. Okay, next verse.
निराशीर्यतचित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् निराशीर्यतचित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Hoping for not. There's nothing. Hoping for nothing. With mind and body controlled. Having relinquished all possessions. Doing mere bodily action. He incurs no sin. So previous verse was harmony with reference to external conditions. Now in this verse, he gives the harmony with reference to internal fluctuations. So whatever is happening within you, you're not affected. This is called self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency. What does self-sufficiency mean? Not just financial self-sufficiency. We're talking about spiritual self-sufficiency. So body not craving for sense objects. Your body craves for comforts. Your body craves for enjoyments and pleasures. So self-sufficient means your body is not dependent upon sense pleasures. There's nothing wrong with enjoying sense pleasures, but you ought not to be dependent on it. Number one. Number two, mind not attached in relationships. In fact, when you're not attached, the relationship will be beautiful. You will enjoy the relationship. It will be fun. What takes the fun away from any relationship is attachment. The moment there is attachment, there is constant sorrow, constant agony. And third is the intellect is not obsessed with ideas. The intellect could get attached to certain ideas. See what is happening in the political sphere. They get attached to certain political ideas. They get obsessed with that. The self-sufficiency at all levels of the personality. Physically not craving for pleasures, mentally not attached to relationships, intellectually not obsessed with ideas. You should have ideas, but not be obsessed with it. So here he says, Nirashi. Asha means hope. Nirasha means with no hope, without hope. Hoping for nothing. See, what they mean by hope here is You're hoping for what? For something in the future. I wish this happens. I wish this goes well. When? Not now, in the future. So without hope means you're not living in the future. Instead, you're living in the present. Otherwise, a person is only living in the future and not doing anything in the present. I wish I win the lottery. You're hoping, I wish I win the lottery. I wish my business grows. There's what is there to wish? You do the right actions, you do what you ought to do, automatically it'll grow. So there's no end to the mind. The mind can keep worrying about anything. See, the way to look at it is you need to have the strength to meet realities as they happen. The strength to meet the realities in life. So if you're hoping to avoid the realities, it's a negative thought. In fact, you should be prepared to meet the realities. See, that is the difference between a philosopher and any other person. So the philosopher is prepared for eventualities. He does not expect eventualities. If you expect eventuality, you become a pessimist. If you're all the time expecting, oh, no, the loss will happen. Oh, I'm going to get cancer. Something wrong will happen. All the time the fellow is thinking something wrong will happen. That's a pessimist. But a philosopher is prepared for something to go wrong, but he enjoys in the present. He's happy. He's not negative, but he's prepared. If it happens, it happens. I'll deal with it. You cross the bridge when it comes. You don't have to worry about it now. When it comes, you cross it. Right now, what should you do? Develop that capacity to withstand all problems that you may face. See, the fascinating part is you see that happening all around you. You see physically people getting ill, they get all sorts of illnesses, regardless of age. Young people get it, older people get it. You see that around you. And yet, you believe you will not get it. You're hoping, no, maybe I won't get it. So, what is it based on? It's not based on any facts. It's just an imagination of the mind. I wish I don't get it. I hope I don't get it. So instead, live in the present, go on facts. So that's what he's saying. So Nirashi, living in the present, relinquishing all possessions. See, what it means is it's not giving up your possessions. It is at the mental level. Relinquishing means giving up your possessiveness towards the possessions. Possession is not a problem. In fact, when you have possessions, you enjoy it. It is the possessiveness that causes the problem. The mindness, that I-ness, drop that, but keep the object. You don't have to leave the object, but drop the I-ness and mindness in it. So not understanding this, what people are doing is they've given up the object, they've given up the family in the name of religion. They say, leave the family, leave the wealth. How is that going to make you develop spiritually? So you give up the possessiveness towards the family, possessiveness towards the wealth. And then some of the swamis, what they do, they go and start an ashram. They become attached to the ashram. They become possessive of the ashram. You understand? You can pick up anything, you can get possessive. So the moment you develop that possessiveness, it destroys the possession. You lose the possession because of possessiveness. You see a beautiful flower, huh? A flower that is blooming in the tree. And what do? You pluck it. What happens? You pluck it. It's dead. You understand? So you're possessive. You want to keep it to yourself. I want to make it mine. In the process of making it yours, you've killed it. So that possessiveness destroys the possession. Let it be there. Let others also see the beauty. Why should I pluck it? See, Shylock in The Merchant of Venice, character Shylock, he lost all his wealth because of the possessiveness. He was possessive. He lost everything. He told the person who he lent money to sign a bond, and he said, if you don't pay the money in a certain time, I'll take a pound of flesh from you. You know, to which that other fellow thought, okay, he doesn't really mean it, So he signed the bond because he was desperately in need of the money. His ships had gone out, it did not come. It was going to come. As soon as the ships come, he'll pay him back. So he took the money. He signed the bond. The ships did not come. He owed the money to Shylock. And Shylock produced a bond and said, hey, you said if you don't give the money, I can take a pound of flesh from you. He said, I thought you didn't mean it. He said, what do you mean? You signed the bond? I mean it. So he took it to court, to tell the judge. The judge said, yes, that's what the bond says. So the defendant, the Brabantio, he got hold of a lawyer. Actually, it was Portia. But those days, the women couldn't come to court to do the case. So she dressed as a man and came, Portia. And she said, she told Shylock, yes, that's what the bond says. You can take the pound of flesh. Brahmanshi was wondering, what is she saying? He thought she's going to help him. No, you can take a pound. So he took the knife. He was ready, to take the pound. She said, excuse me, 1 minute. You can take the pound of flesh, but not a drop of blood. He said, what? What do you mean? No, in the bond, if you see it, you only said pound of flesh. There's nothing about blood. So yes, you take a pound of flesh, but you cannot drop, not a drop of blood can fall down. But how can you do that? No, that's what the bond says. You're going by the bond, I'm going by the bond. You understand? The fellow was stumped, completely stumped. Bold, totally bold. So, and then the judge said, see, this is not how you do it. He asked him to give away his wealth, all that. He lost everything, what he had. So that possessiveness, when you're possessive, you end up losing it eventually. Because you can't think when you're possessive. You lose your thinking capacity. So hoping for not with mind and body control, having relinquished all possessions, doing mere bodily action, he incurs no sin. He doesn't incur sin. See, you incur sin when you feel guilty. You won't feel guilty. If you're doing the right actions, why would you feel guilty? The mind is peaceful. It's not agitated. There's no guilt. Any selfless action is in line with the conscience. As a result, you won't feel guilty. But selfish actions goes against the conscience, makes you feel guilty. So find out who are the people who feel guilty, are the self-centered people, egoistic people. A person who gives, who serves, never feels guilty. A selfless person never feels guilty. Hmm. Next verse.
यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते यदृच्छालाभसन्तुष्टः द्वन्द्वातीतो विमत्सरः समसिद्धावसिद्धौ च कृत्वापि न निबध्यते.
Content with whatever is got unsought, rising above the pairs of opposites, free from envy, equanimous in success and failure, though acting, he is not bound. See, there's a difference between contentment and complacency. Contentment is different from complacency. Many people who say they are contented, actually they are complacent. See, what happens is the one set of people in the world, they are inactive. They don't do anything. As a result, they are not looking for any result in their actions because they don't do anything. As a result of that, they feel, I'm okay, I'm contented. That is not contentment, that is complacency. So, complacency is the peace that you get out of inaction. When you're inactive, you don't do anything, there's a peace that you get. That is complacency. It's a negative form of peace. It's a peace that you get out of avoidance of action, out of avoidance of challenges. The other extreme you'll find is a person who gets into action, works hard, but is attached to the result. He's working hard, he gets obsessed with the results. The fellow is agitated, is disturbed because of that attachment and obsession. He is stressed all the time. But this person who's stressed is better off than the person who's complacent. This is a fundamental mistake the society makes. They believe when you're complacent, I'm happy, I'm peaceful, I'm okay. No, you're not okay. The fellow who is active and stressed is better off than the person who is complacent, inactive and complacent. It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Huh? It's like that. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. So here he gives the third option. The third option is a person who is active, who is energetic, but has total control over his desire. As a result, he is contented. He is happy. You accept whatever result that comes your way. See, why is contentment difficult is because the two factors you've got to apply to experience contentment. First is you got to act in the best way possible. Apply your best effort, number one. No stone unturned. You do whatever you need to do. Go the full way to do your best efforts, number one. Number two is having done the best effort, whatever result comes, you accept it. It's very difficult. You understand? Because the moment you do your best efforts, you almost feel that you deserve something. I've done so much. I deserve that. You feel you deserve it. It's nothing but ego. So you do the best effort and you should feel I don't deserve anything. Then why are you doing your effort? Because you feel it's your obligation to do it. So that's what he means here. Content with whatever is got unsought. You're not seeking it. It comes. Interestingly, if you act like this, you'll get the best. You understand? You'll get everything. But you're not craving for it. You're not seeking it. So that egoistic attitude is there. I've done so much, therefore I deserve it. Like a person says, oh, I've worked so hard, I deserve a weekend. I've worked the whole month, I deserve an holiday. You work the whole year, you feel I don't deserve a holiday. It's a different attitude. You can take a holiday, but means internally, how do you feel? It's my obligation to do it. That's all. I'm just doing my obligation. See the poem, The Olive Tree, the two hermits, both of them plant olive seed and grow the olive tree so that they can get olive oil. The first hermit, he asks God for everything. He says, oh God, for the sake of my olive tree, give sunshine. God gives sunshine. Then he says, give rain. God gives rain. He says, give frost. God gives frost. Whatever he asks, God gives. The plant dies. The second hermit does not ask God for anything. So the first hermit goes and asks the second hermit, hey, you don't pray to God. How come your tree is growing so well? To which he said, I entrusted to God its little tree. Whatever he created this tree, I entrusted to God my little tree. He who knew what it needed. He's the one who made it. He knows what it needs. So he made it. He knows what it needs. Who am I to decide? See, this is a spirit of surrender. Surrender is you don't arrogate it to yourself. This is my child. This is my house. This is my business. Why am I arrogating it? You maintain it to the best of ability without that egoistic feeling. He who made knew what it needed better than a man like me. Laid eye on him no conditions, fixed no ways and means. So I wonder not my olive thriveth, whilst thy olive tree did die. The second hermit is telling the first hermit. He says, I'm not surprised why your olive tree died. Because you're demanding God all the time. So content with whatever has got unsought. It comes, it comes. Doesn't come, doesn't come. But that is not going to stop me from my effort. I'll put in my effort in the way I'm going to do it. The best way I'll do. If it comes, it comes. It doesn't matter. It's only an attitude. Please understand. It's not that action-wise you're not going to stop. You're going to do whatever you're supposed to do. Attitude-wise, you're not attached to the result. Sama, siddhav, asiddhav. Equanimous in success or failure. So whether success or failure is there, there's an equanimity. There's a level-headedness. Otherwise, the moment a person gets success, he loses his mind. Or if he gets into failure, he gets depressed. So one extreme to the other extreme. Sometimes you see these players, when they win championship, they win the matches, footballers, you see the football hooligans, what they do. You see the plays, after the match is over, go and see the plays, what they do. They trash the whole place. So what sort of enjoyment is that? Drinking and getting drunk. The England cricket team, they got disqualified once because after series they won, they urinated on the pitch. What what is that enjoyment? Even on the bus when they go, they're fully drunk, most of the players. So that's what he's saying. In success, you get carried away by success. You get totally involved in success. Or the other extreme is depressed in sorrow. So to maintain that equanimity, so free from envy. Envy is for those who have more than you. You're envious at those who have more than you. So he's free from envy because he has universal love. Because since he has universal love, there's no envy. If the fellow has more, you appreciate that person. You're not envious. Rising above the pairs of opposites. The various pairs of opposites are there. Heat or cold, war or peace, pain or pleasure, praise or censure. It is above all that. Though acting is not bound. See, what this verse is talking about is he's talking about liberal living. Liberal living is you act not to achieve. You act because it's your obligation to act, not because you want to achieve anything. If it comes, it comes. Number one. Number two, you love not to be loved. You're not expecting the other person to love you. You love from your side. Third is you read not to learn. You just read. Because you're interested in it, you read it. So act not to achieve. See that on the screen. What is liberal living? Act not to achieve. Love not to be loved. Read not to learn. You will learn automatically, but your intention is not there. Your focus is not on learning. Your focus is on reading. Similarly, your focus is on loving others. Whether they love in return or not, you're not concerned. You're acting. You will be successful. If you do these things, automatically you'll be successful. But you're not craving for success. To strive, to struggle, not to succeed. You're not craving for success. You're just striving and struggling because you feel that's your obligation. So next class, we will start the topic of yajna. And there are 12 yajnas that we're going to study from verse 25 onwards. And then in verse 24, he introduces the concept of yajna. In fact, in 23, he mentions the word yajna, but in 24, he actually introduces it. And then from 25 onwards, we'll read 12 types of yajna, 12 types of sacrifices. And these are all subjective application, subjective sacrifices, not external sacrifices. Very, very interesting explanation. One of the finest portions of the Gita. It's a bit subtle, but if you cooperate, I'll try and explain it in a way that you'll be able to understand. And again, any amount of questions you can ask to understand when you get to that portion. Peter, you had something?
Oh, yes, just a little clarification
Yes.
about the fruit and
Yes.
the vision of action from inaction. I'm understanding a sattvic
Hmm.
fruit, where, for example, a sustainable, irrigated, organic, cooperative farm in the desert to feed the poor and empower the local people is the fruit of the action. Or can action from an action include a rajasic vision of real estate, that cancer-like cities across the desert to exploit construction workers, exclude the poor, cause dependency on planes and cars for fuel and air conditioning?
See, we're not getting into that part. We're only looking at it in a very general way. I'm just giving an example of what is action in inaction. Those are just examples, but what actually the concept means is that you understand that the self is not inactive, though they use the word akarma, inactive, to describe the self. You understand that actually the self is capable of producing many actions. So the potential of action is there in the self. The very fact that you're seeing, you're smelling, you're tasting, touching is because of the self. So when you're doing that, you're remembering the self. So two ways you can remember the self. One is directly when you see the action. Another is indirectly through the self. When you are remembering the self, you see it's capable of producing all those actions. So one is you're going this way, another is going this way. I'm only giving examples to make you all understand what does it mean, action and inaction, inaction and action. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shrikala.
Hari Om Bhaskarji.
Hmm.
So you earlier mentioned about being content and not having desires in every situation. But practically, if a person is facing difficult circumstances, like let's say losing a job or having some other issues in life, how is that? How is he supposed to just focus on the good while also trying to solve other things, like let's say paying bills, paying whatever it might be?
Hmm.
How is that? How can he or she be content in that situation?
See, you look at those who have less than you. You don't have a job. You have two arms, you have two legs.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of people who don't have arms or legs, who don't have eyes. So, so many things you have. First of all, register what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can work towards getting what you don't have. So it's not that you should accept that and leave it. No, you work towards it and say, yes, I don't have a job. How do I find the job? You work for that. You search for a job, you get the job. But there are two different things we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You're contented in the present and you're aspiring for more in the future. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
do both together. One doesn't exclude the other. Just because you're contented doesn't mean you're not aspiring for something in the future. So the
Okay.
mind is contented. Intellect works towards getting what you don't have. You're planning, you're programming to get what you don't have, but your mind is happy with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
your actions are not driven by discontentment. The motivation for your action is not discontentment.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
If you're motivated by discontentment, you'll always be discontented, because even if you get it temporarily, you'll be content. But next desire comes up, again you're discontented. Whereas if you learn to practice contentment, then at all stages you can focus on what you have and be contented.
Okay.
It's reprogramming your thinking.
Yeah.
It will
Okay.
take some time, but if you work on it, you'll be able to achieve it.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.